Welcome back, everyone, to a new step-by-step video. It's going to be a little something out of my comfort zone, but I am looking forward to it and have been for a while. So we are going to start the Tacom AH-64D Apache Longbow. So I already did a review on it, so we're just going to get right into step one, which I'm used to other kits being very informative about what colors to paint everything. And it says here the paints required are only 4. An olive drab dark, a NATO black, rubber and tires, and gunmetal. Now, it also, what it doesn't say is where those colors are to be painted. Usually there's like call-outs, but there's not. So, after doing some research, I found out that the cockpit is more all over NATO black. So, which may lend itself to some ease in painting, because I can glue all the parts in, paint it, do some dry brushing and things like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to head over to my buddy Mark at HobbyNut Models.com, his website. He lives really close to me, so I'm going to run over there, and he has received the Quinta instrument panel set. So I'm going to go pick that up and see what we need to remove and sand off to replace with that. And then I can start cutting some parts and painting and getting ready to finish step one. So I will be right back. All right, back at it. I am now basically just grabbing some pieces and putting them in here. I went ahead and shaved all the relief off of the cockpit, because I'm going to use the Quinta instrument panel set that I picked up from Mark at HobbyNut Models. So he hooked me up with this, so thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that. It's going to make this model even more excellent. So the way I did it, I was using a chisel at first, just to go in here and chisel all the relief off of here. Once I made sure, comparing the Quinta set, even though this says it's for the AH-64E, it pretty much matches exactly the D. So so I just scraped off all the detail that was on these sections here already. So I really just have to do here, and then on the little side when we build that piece. So basically, I was using a chisel, but it was taking a while. So I go in to find out what I've got to do, and I just start scraping off. I hadn't glued that part yet in. So I just glue it, and just scrape it until all that relief is gone. Taking care not to cut myself. Just trying to make it all smooth, so when I put these instrument placards on here, how good they're going to look. And I have to get this cockpit, everything in it painted NATO black before I put any of this stuff down. All right, so all the detail is gone. So then after everything's painted, I can start adding. I cut one off just to kind of show you what it's going to look like. So this will go right after everything's painted. It'll go right there. And the detail is just crazy, and it's all 3D relief. So, looking forward to getting that all on there. So, we'll go back to just continuing to cut parts and gluing them in. So the two parts that I've already done. I've cut out M9 here, which it goes right there. And then before I glue that in place, I'm going to go ahead and work on the pedals A2 and A3. So I'll go with A2 now. A little glue down on the edge of both of those. Trying to see how much room I'm going to have to get in there and paint those. So I should be okay after I airbrush everything. So I'm going to go ahead. And it just slides down right in there. I've got this piece cut out, which is A58. And I was going to glue it down now, but I think I'm going to wait so I can detail that separately, because if I glue it now and try to paint it all at once, it's going to be really hard to get in there and pick out any detail. So I'm just going to set that off to the side. The one part I've been having trouble with trying to figure out where it goes is this M20. The instruction sheet is not the clearest, so I'm going to have to figure out where it goes. Oh, I think I understand now. I think this dotted line means it goes in the back. And maybe comes up here. Yep, that's exactly where it goes. Okay, so A20 goes on the little side where there's a little opening over here on the side of the cockpit. Goes. Oop. Fumbly fingers. There we go. Goes right in there. Hopefully it stays in there. I'll just run some glue. I want to get as many pieces as I can inside the cockpit before I paint it NATO black. But I don't know how that's going to work with trying to get detail on it. So we'll just work slowly and figure it out as we go. All right, so we have M9 done, A58 cut out. Let's do well, I can't do A31 yet because that goes in this little hole right here, which once that decal is on, I'll have to drill a hole and put that lever in there. So that's going to have to wait. I think what I'll do for these small parts, because I'm in the habit of losing stuff. So that one was A58. So that way when it comes time to actually painting all this stuff, it'll all be attached. So A31 also has to be NATO black. We'll cut that one out now. That's a tiny little piece. Good gussy. So tiny that it just dropped. There it is. All right, so now we got to look at this piece and find out what needs to be trimmed off and what doesn't, since it's such a tiny piece. So there's a little nib. I'm just trying to remove, even though my eyes without glasses and without these bigger glasses can't see the little seam on here. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape it off. All right. Now I'm gonna test fit it. Make sure we're talking about the right thing. It angles backwards. And I don't want to ping it across the garage. And it just slides right down in there. So when you're done putting your decal instrument panel on here, you just slide that back in there. And I don't think I want to paint it while it's in there, because I have a feeling the paint will act like a glue and seal it. So I'm just going to stick it right down there. And we'll put it right there. Lots of small parts on this. When you're used to building 1/12 and 1/24 cars and motorcycles, you do something like this. It's also calling for another A58 and another A31, which is on the same, they give you 2 sprues, so I gotta go grab those. But I'm gonna finish cutting up all these parts for step 1, and I'll be right back. All right, my apologies, I am back. Been a lot of interruptions and a lot of this and that going here and there, and I don't know, for the first video of this, it seems like it's a little bit befuddled, but I too shall get this going. So we have most of the parts in there. This is just, that's just on there, so I can paint it all as one. These all have to be painted, so those are on a stick, getting ready for painting. So I figured the rest of step 1 is building the seats also. So we are going to do that real quick. I'll build one, and then that shows you how. So we need A1. All right, A1. That one right there. We need A8. A8. A7, A26, and A4. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got all of those. Like I said, it tells you to make 2 of them, but I'm just going to show you how to make one, and then I'll make the other one off camera, so you don't have to be tortured with my voice and the boringness, even though I enjoy cleaning up parts. And I found, I thought that the Quinta set that I bought for the instrument panels, I thought that was kind of interesting that if you look on the back, it actually has textured for the seats. So all this stuff here will replace and go over some of this stuff. So pretty cool in detail, that's for sure. So it's saying, for instance, this little part right here, it's saying not to even use A4. So technically I don't need that part, so we're just going to set that off to the side. So we will glue this bad boy together. We'll put in the seat bracket first. And it goes in, so it goes on the back of the seat, or the back of the seat pod. How's that? So grab you, and we will, and that fits like a glove. All right, so odds that that'll ever be seen, but you know the rule. We gotta paint it anyway, because that's gonna end up going right back into there against that wall. So I'll just get this little part up here that I missed. All right, so the next part it says to put in is the actual seat. It just is going to fit down into there. Hangs over a little bit. So we're just going to run some glue on the back of the actual seat. And we're going to drop it right in there. Then it says one last little piece is this little headrest cushion piece. And it goes right there. So we're just going to glue, flow right around that. And that is your seat. So I know it doesn't give a lot of paint call outs, And it says NATO black for almost everything in the interior. So I printed off a bunch of colored pictures from the internet. And I think those cushions are just, don't have to worry about the cushions because like I said, the Quinta's set actually covers that. So we're gonna go ahead and get those painted NATO black. So I'm gonna go ahead and build the second seat. And I'm going to cut out M26, M25. And I'm going to paint all of these NATO black. And then I will be back. All right, small little update. I was painting everything. And then I realized and forgot that I circled this little part right here, which is TPB4, which is our photo etch. And it's this little screen, B4. So this is the B sprue of the photo etch. I don't know if you can see that. And so I cut out 4, and then I bent it. I bent the prongs, like it says to in this close-up picture. And so then, before I finish painting everything, I need to take some super glue, and it goes right down in that little section right there. So I'm going to glue that, and then I will be right back. All right, we got some progress made. I went ahead and did a little of the Quinta's Studio placards, decals that really aren't decals. So I figured before I finished them all off, I would show you how I do them. I'm kind of new to the whole Quinta's thing. So we're just gonna take our cockpit tub here. We use our diagram that they give us. I've already done 18, which it replaces the actual part, so I didn't glue that in. I just put the decal over it, and I've done 25. So I'm going to do 29 real quick on this side and show you how I do it. So, get my knife. 29. You almost need eyes for this because the letters are so small. So, I'm going to grab 29, which is right here. And you don't have to cut it too close because it's going to come, it's on backing paper. So now it's not like a decal, so you actually need to glue it to the model, but you do need to put it in water to release the backing paper that it's on. So we're just going to put that in there. There we go. I'm going to put that in there. And then I've got a little bit of, I use Wolverine PVA glue. So basically, like, I mean, you could probably use Elmer's and get the same results, but a friend suggested that, so I have used that in the past, and it's good glue. So I'm just going to grab a little. I'm going to grab a little bit of water, thin my glue just a little bit. I'm going to look where it goes, and it's just this little area right here. So I'm just going to paint glue on. Right where I think that decal is going to go. It's so weird calling it a decal when it's a little piece of resin. Okay. Now, if everything's right in the world today, the decal will be ready. So I pull it out. And it slides off. And I grab it and dry it off a little bit. I lay it right down where I have the glue. And I position it a little bit. And it's that simple. And you get some really nice detail. So I'm going to go ahead and do more of those all through the cockpit and do the seats, and I will be back. All right, I am back with some updated progress. When I left off last, I was showing you how to put on the Quintas. So I've got most of the Quintas installed where it needs to go. So it has all the gauges and dials. And you notice this seat right here. Well, I went ahead and did the Quintas panels for, I'm trying to figure this out, camera. So we've got the seat with the Quintas panels on it as well. So that makes a large difference between this one and this one. So that one's ready to go in. I haven't glued it, I just kind of putting it in place right now. I also had some Quintas materials used on the back layer. So that one will go right back in here. So then we have that set up. And then we have some side panels that will be glued on. One down here. Cushioning, and then we have another one here. It will go on. So the Quinta stuff is really nice. I still have a lot to do, especially in step 2 when we're going to be putting on the screens, like the computer screens and everything. They already have their nice glossiness to them and their relief with all the switches. So that's going to be fun. So I went ahead and did a little bit of dry brushing, which most of you guys have dry brushed in the past and stuff like that, so it's not a new thing, but in case you're just beginning, I guess it could be a new thing. So dry brushing is just basically like taking this piece right here. It has, I don't know if you can see it, but it has some padding and it has some relief, but to the naked eye it looks really dark and black. So I use a titanium white for my dry brushing. There's another color I like too that's a little bit more, it's not pure white, so it has a little bit of a beige to it. So I just put a little bit on a disposable whatever. You can use a napkin, you can use a plastic bag like I'm doing. Then you find your cap that you lost. And then what I do is I get a small flat brush, which that's not a flat one. I just had it out. Okay, there it is. My desk is a mess right now, I apologize. All right, so I get a stiff, small flat brush and I dip it in the paint, get my bristles all loaded up. Then I take a napkin and I wipe as much of it off as I can. It's just gonna leave a little bit of paint on there, and that paint will be, if you go over this, hold it with this little pick. So if you go over this, I usually try to come the direction I'm not pushing it all, I'm just letting it glide over the part, and it's gonna catch the edges. Catch the edges of whatever's there, and I try to do it from, if the light was coming down, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to hit the highlights where the edges towards the top would be lit or highlighted. I guess that's a better word. So you're just really light brushing over those little pads. So that way they have a little bit more dimension to them. And you just go over them until you're happy. Sometimes Sometimes I go in and individually pull them out. And then you can see the difference between the two, because I have one here started that, you can see the difference. So you can't see the pads, and here you can. So it's just a subtle way of knocking and adding a little bit more detail, so that way when you put them all together, it gives you some definition. This camera's a little harsh because they're not that harsh in my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and finish doing some dry brushing on the rest of these panels, and then I'll be back to do some assembly and hopefully finish and wrap up step one. I'll be right back. All right, I am back. Since I showed how to do all the different things, and I made a complete mess out of my bench, which I will clean before step two, but we are done with step one, which was quite involved for step one. So we've got our side panels in and padding, our Quinta set in. The only thing that I have to do is pick out some of the buttons on the controls and put our little throttle levers here, which are these tiny little black things here. But that's it. So I'm going to wrap up step one and show you a little bit of the overall look and feel. Really happy with the Quintas. So far, I'm happy with the whole Tacom process, but to be honest with you, I've been reading a lot of reviews, and a buddy of mine just built this for a friend as a commission build, and he said the directions were all over the place. So I'm hoping that I can decipher what's going on. If not, I will have Bob come over and help me. So thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget, if you have any any hobby needs whatsoever, HobbyNut Models here in Murfreesboro, they're online at hobbynutmodels.com. Contact Mark and see what he's got out there and order something from him. His customer service is top notch, and he's a good guy. So I will yak at you guys all later.